So, Motivation Monday. Welcome back to another episode of the Brawn Body Podcast. As you know, these Motivation Monday episodes are released Monday mornings, and they are designed to get you fired up and energized for your week. We've got a good one for you today on dangerous freedom versus peaceful slavery, and we've got a bunch more lined up in some great series we've got coming. So, today, dangerous freedom or peaceful slavery. What do we mean by that? Well, let's deconstruct these two terms, dangerous and freedom. So, in society, it's almost like we are being taught that freedom is dangerous, and as such, it should be taken away, right? You know, people shouldn't have the freedom of speech because look at what happens when they do. People shouldn't have the freedom to assembly or to protest because look at what happens when they do. We need to find a way to shut it down immediately because it's bad when people do it. People shouldn't have the right to bear arms because, so-and-so used it inappropriately. And we're being taught and conditioned by society to view our personal freedoms as dangerous. And this is a fact. Now, I don't want to get into the argument of if this is a good thing or a bad thing. You might believe that losing the freedom of speech is a good thing. You might believe that losing freedom of press is a good thing. And that is perfectly okay. I'm not here to disagree with anyone. I'm simply here to point out the fact that your freedoms are being viewed as dangerous. Now, what effect is that going to have on you psychologically? Okay? So let's think about that. You have the freedom in America to live your life however you want, for the most part, right? Within the constructs of society that are ever-changing. So let's say you want to go out and you want to lose some weight. You want to lose 30 pounds, okay? Luckily, you have the freedom to do that. Now, what might happen if the food regulations change at the grocery store and they're no longer able to carry or purchase certain foods? Would that make your goal harder? Or what might happen if all these people who have become used to losing things, they're used to losing their freedom of speech, they're used to losing their right to bear arms, people just keep losing what they had the right to, okay? Well, you have the right to lose weight, but if you just lost your ability to do 5 or 6 other things, how is that going to motivate you to do this other thing? How is that going to motivate your support group? So say, you've got your neighbor. You go over to your neighbor and you're like, hey, I'm going to lose some weight. And your neighbor's like, yeah, you should. That'd be good. He's like, yeah, you are fat after all. You could drop a few pounds, right? That kind of mentality. Well, where does that mentality come from? He himself lost a bunch of his freedoms. She herself lost a bunch of their freedoms, okay? Whatever way you want to spin it. And when people lose things, they are a lot less likely to encourage other people to go and do and get theirs. So ultimately, we've created this mentality where we are thinking and viewing freedom as dangerous, and it should not be allowed. And that creates peaceful slavery. We say, look, if you just do this, if you just do that, if you follow these rules, if you follow the constructs of society, society says it's good to wear a mask, so wear a mask. Society says you should stay at home, so stay at home. This sort of thing, okay? If you just simply follow the society rules, you can have peace. But you're not living the life you want. You're alive, but you're not living, okay? And that creates this peaceful slavery mentality. So it's peaceful if you just follow the rules and orders and regulations. But it's dangerous if you have the freedom to go out and do the things that you want to do. It's dangerous for you to be able to go out without a mask. It's dangerous for you to be able to go out and live your life. Meanwhile, in some states, especially in the South, I'm sure you've all seen, Florida examples on the news, they have that freedom. And for the most part, they're doing okay. What do other states have? Other states have that more slavery approach. Look, you have to wear a mask, period. You have to stay at home, and if you go out, you have to distance. These are the only places you can go. And, they're finding people, they're arresting people, all these different things, right? Meanwhile, the people who put those orders in place are going out and violating them themselves. I'm sure everyone has seen the classic example of the governor of California going out to the restaurant without a mask with a group of people, right? So we've created that double standard there, where the people need to do one thing, but it's okay for the politicians to do a totally different thing. So you have essentially, again, created a mindset where your freedom is dangerous, and you should essentially just follow the rules and regulations and constructs of society in order to be at peace. But again, that means you're not in control. You're giving the steering wheel to society. You no longer control where you're going. You're on a bus, and the bus driver is taking you all to the same place. Okay? Now, I get that can be a little bit extreme. Maybe it is. But these are things that you, as a person, as an individual, need to think about, especially over these next however many years we've got here moving forward. Because ultimately, we're going to be asked tough questions about how much freedom we're willing to give up in exchange for what we're calling peace. And the question is that peace actually peaceful? Or does it just look that way? You know, are we getting good meat here? Or does the outside just look pretty and we cut into it and it looks awful, right? You know, maybe the outside looks great and then we cut into it and it's still raw, still undercooked, it was frozen. So think about that. Is what we're going to be doing what we want? Or does it just look good and smell good, but when we get into it, we're like, oh no. Because the thing is, you know, once you've taken a bite, there's no going back, right? Once you've taken a bite, swallowed, and realized, oh my gosh, this is awful. You can't just, you know, puke it back out, right? Well, same thing in life here. Once we give up certain freedoms, there's no getting them back. So keep that in mind. Think about how that's going to impact your life, your motivational mindset, your psychology, your health and fitness in general. Again, the more you give up control about things to someone else, the more you're going to shift that locus of control away from yourself and away from you personally. So you are no longer personally responsible for the things that you're doing, right? It's someone else. Someone else has got it. Someone else is going to take care of it. Well, you forget that your day and your life is yours. You're in control. You're in the driver's seat. So if you pass that driver's seat off to someone else, again, it's like that school bus analogy, going the same place as everyone else. You're no longer in control. Maybe you're okay with that. Maybe you're okay with the peaceful slavery, right? You're okay with the peacefulness that comes from being able to sit and enjoy your phone while you're sitting on the bus and someone else is driving for you. You're okay with that. You don't want the dangerous freedom that comes with driving yourself and setting the speed that you go and setting the direction you take and choosing the music selection and all that sort of stuff. You don't want that, right? So with that, that's going to do it for today's podcast episode. Thanks for listening. Be sure to tune in for our Wednesday episode coming in just a couple days. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on social media. Thanks for listening, and hope you have a great week.